Welcome everybody, it's Rebecca from Hedgerow Stitching. Today I want to share with you 5 of my newest quilting books. Today is Saturday the 26th of August 2023. I hope you're all doing well and welcome to my channel. Quilting is such a personal craft. I've often looked at quilts and thought I could never do that. But then when I've actually looked at the patterns properly, I've thought perhaps I can. So today I wanted to share with you a few books that I've purchased recently and my thoughts about what quilts I'd like to start. In the background here you can see I've been working on a hexie quilt. This is a quilt that I've been stitching by hand, and I will quilt by hand, and I will show this to you in my next video when I show some of the quilts I've been working on. Today I'd like to share the books I've had purchased. I haven't looked through all the books from cover to cover, but there's just a couple of ones I'd like to share with you, and if you are interested in quilting or plique or wool applique, these are perfect choices for you. The first book I'd like to share with you is a Quiltmania published book called Once Was Old, and it's by Bonnie Sullivan. This is the front cover. This is the reverse cover. Now in this book there are some, I think this is the lady, Bonnie Sullivan. This is mainly an applique quilt book. One of the patterns here is a lovely, bright, easy Here Comes the Sun quilt. And the other one I wanted to show you is perfect for coming into autumn, is a oak leaf wreath, and this is a penny rug. So this is a wool applique quilt, and that's the one on here. Now it's quite tricky to get pieces of wool in the UK from the various suppliers. So I have in the past purchased wool pieces from, I think, Country Sampler in the States, and another shop which I can't recall the name. I will put it in the description box below. So I'm going to look through my stash and see if I can come up with some lovely autumnal wool colours to create this lovely quilt. She does also give a small pin keep with a little pumpkin and the grass on the top there. So in this book there are a variety of projects, full quilts. There is a Christmas themed cushion here. There are Christmas ornament decorations. There is a red and white quilt that you could make a table runner for your Christmas lunch. Briefly looking at this, it seems quite simple to make, with a big square and an Irish chain type quilting pattern. One of my challenges for moving from autumn 2023 into 2024 is to make a quilt or start a quilt that I find I may be put off by looking initially at it. And these are sort of quilts that maybe are very flowery, like this one, that use applique as a technique. I've done a little bit of applique, but I haven't done an awful lot. And quilting is something that I want to be able to become more, not efficient, but to be able to produce some quilts that my family can look at in years to come and think, yes, Mummy made those or Granny made those, and appreciate to wrap themselves up in when they're not well, or just to slouch about on the sofa with the quilt thrown on top of them. I think that one cost about €30, so I'm not quite sure what that translates into other currencies. You'd have to investigate that. The next book is by the same author as the first one, Bonnie Sullivan, and this is Dawn Heath, and this is also a Quiltmania book, and it's called In a French Garden. Now this has quilts, wool applique, and also rug hooking. This is the reverse cover. Rug hooking or punch needle, is not something that I've done. I do have a punch needle kit, but I've not attempted to do anything with that one yet. But this one, I bought this one for this beautiful quilt, which is a 72 inch by 72 inch beautiful quilt here. Now, I'm not talking starting quilts and finishing them in 6 months and having a pile. I appreciate that quilting does take a long time, but it's just something that's come up in my plans. This is a section of the quilt here. As I'm nearing my professional retiring age, I am thinking more about what I would like to spend my time doing, and apart from my garden that I will show you in an upcoming video, I enjoy all sorts of handcrafts, and quilting is on my radar to be more productive in, I would say. I haven't gathered any supplies yet. I'm just looking through these books, admiring what ones I'd like to do. And also talking about quilting, stitching, I have a new sampler here. This is Dear Fanny Lowe, 1891, and she will be coming up in a new video shortly. All sorts of motifs are transferable from samplers, quilting, painting, all sorts of things. And this caught my eye, and this is a 32 inch by 32 inch, so a wall hanging quilt with a beautiful bird and a vase. Now this looks like half square triangles and some, actually it has wool. I think these are all wool applique quilts here, some wool applique. So I have purchased a little bit of what they call freezer paper as a technique to do applique with, but I'm very new to applique, and I'm practicing with my hand quilting as well, and improving my stitches. Now to me, I love to follow patterns in all sorts of crafts that I do, but I'm thinking more of my quilts, and I tend to follow my own designs. Not my own designs, I make my own patterns from drawing inspiration from other designs or pictures. This hexie quilt here is drawn from an old antique quilt, and there is a quilt pattern for it, but I thought I would do my own variation of that. Quilting to me is very personal. You can choose whatever you like to put on it. You can stitch it in whatever fabrics you have available and whatever threads you like to use, and there's nobody who can tell you you've done that right or you've done that wrong. It's all what comes from your heart, and I think that's very important, to embrace things that you like and love, and to be able to put that into a quilt that's going to last for years to come, and for your family to appreciate and enjoy. Now I have 7 laying hens and 2 cockerels, and I'm going to source some wools that suit their colouring and do a little applique cushion. So that's on my list of things to do. I do have a book that I use as a quilt journal, and at the front I've listed all, actually I should have got it down to show you. In the front I've listed all the quilts that I've got ongoing, and then I've listed the quilts that I would like to start. And the 2 that I picked out in here, or 3, are the ones that I would like to start. So in the next few weeks I will be gathering my supplies and looking to create a little pile that I can start whenever I've got the time. So that's my second book. Now my third book is also a Quiltmania book, but very different in design from the last 2, and this is a book by Quiltmania again, and it's called Dutch Heritage Quilted Treasures by Petra Prins, and this is the reverse. This is a very thick, heavy book, and I think it came at €34. I got this locally to me. We are lucky enough to have a lovely quilt shop not far from where I live. I was talking about hexagon quilts, and the very first quilt on the page is an antique hexagon quilt, and these are hand-pieced hexagons. There are plenty of videos online about English paper piecing and how to actually make the hexagons. So you can choose any fabric choice, any colours, put together what you like to do. This is a beautiful book. It uses lots of Dutch fabrics. And again, there's the vase in the centre, this beautiful blue and cream design. These are definitely quilts that would test my ability. I have been collecting a few Dutch fabrics, and I will show you my fabric haul in another upcoming video. Now, this book has been on my wish list for a number of years, and I haven't purchased it until now because I thought that my quilting skills weren't up to the investment of a book like this. And how stupid am I? I was already judging myself on what I had produced in the past, thinking that I wasn't able to make any of these quilts. And I know that's not true, and I am making this video so I have a record of my quilting journey, and also a record of how I'm improving my skills in quilting. Now, this book is a really heavy book, and it's printed in the States, and it says here that it cost $60 US dollars. I'm not quite sure how much I paid for it. It is still available, and I shall put the links below of where you can find these books if you're interested in getting them. If you already have them, then I hope you enjoy watching my video. And this is compiled by Barbara Brackman, and it's the Encyclopedia of Pieced Quilt Patterns. She shares with you hundreds of blocks of different patterns, how to make sampler quilts. Now, I bought this book, and I'm going to sit down, choose my very favourite quilt blocks from this book, and choose a selection of fabrics and design my own quilt. Now, this will be special to my family, the area I live in, and using the fabrics that I enjoy. This is a long-term project, and I'm going to plan it out in my quilt journal. I don't think this book is for the faint-hearted. I have started the Dear Jane quilt, and I think I'm on only line 1 across the top. I would like to continue that soon, but also look through this book and pick out the blocks that I feel that I can make at this moment in time. So that's a very useful resource book. And my last book of the day is something that I saw very recently, and I've only got into the first page or so with this book, and this is a non-fiction book by Rachel May, and it's called The American Quilt, and it's a story of family and, unfortunately, slavery. It covers the historical and political life of early Americans and the importance and significance of quilting. On the first few pages, this lady Rachel May talks about piecing the quilt together, and this links back to my quilt here. It also covers the political and historical importance and way of life on an American plantation. It doesn't gloss over facts and figures, and it may be a little bit of an upsetting read for some people, but an important read. And if you have not seen this book, I highly recommend you getting a copy. This is available as $18.95 in the States, $24.95 Canadian dollars, and I will link below the cost of it on the UK market here. And the last thing I'd like to share in this video is my pieced quilt. It's not finished. I've used a line from, I think, Laundry Basket Quilts, and this is the start, I'll hold it up the right way, of my hexagon quilt. So I'm making up the, it will be a single bed cover for my spare room, and so far I've hand pieced all these. I'll stand up. This is the 3 across the top. It's been absolute delight. I'll show you the back. I did use hexagon templates that I bought from a wholesaler, and I've been very careful so I can reuse these paper templates when the time comes to take out these papers. So everybody, that was my short little video from today, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next coming weeks. If you've enjoyed what you've seen today, you can subscribe, hit the like button and hit the notification for future videos. I hope you're all well, everybody, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye bye.